we can continue our discussion of the citric acid cycle. But before that, let's look at your acetyl-CoA first. So na-mention ko before that acetyl-CoA is a very important metabolite. Now, we are just in carbohydrate metabolism. But later on, pag nag-aral na tayo ng fatty acid metabolism, lipid metabolism, and also nitrogen metabolism. So yung mga amino acids, mga nucleotides natin, we will again encounter acetyl-CoA. Now, what is acetyl-CoA? So acetyl-CoA is essentially activated acetyl. So if you recall from organic chemistry, we have this acetic acid, right? Tanggalin nyo lang yung OH dun sa carboxyl group niya. Yun yung acetyl. So that is your acetyl group. Yung acetyl group na yan, kinakabit siya sa isang molecule na tinatawag natin na coenzyme A, or it's simply written as CoA for short, for a shorter writing. Now, bakit siya kinakabit sa coenzyme A? So if you look at the structure of coenzyme A, you have here your phosphoadenosine diphosphate. So diphosphate siya, pero meron siyang 3' phosphate group. So 3' phosphoadenosine diphosphate. And then there is a pantothenic acid here, which is one of the uncommon amino acids. So pantothenic acid. Then meron tayong mercaptoethylamine. So beta-mercaptoethylamine. Meron siya ditong thiol group, which dyan nililink yung acetyl group. Okay? So, this one is a high energy bond. So, yung bond between the sulfur atom and the carbon atom in your acetyl-CoA is unstable. So, prefer niya na i-break yung bond na yan. And kapag nag-break na yan, and then marirelease niya yung acetyl group, magre-release siya ng negative 31.5 kilojoules per mole of energy. Now, saan nanggagaling yung mga acetyl groups na yan? So, nanggagaling yan sa mga molecules na minimetabolize ng katawan or ng cells. So, dahil nasa carbohydrate metabolism tayo, ang focus natin is glucose. So, manggagaling yan sa glucose. So, recall na sa glycolysis, ang ending nun, magiging pyruvate siya. Now, yung pyruvate na yan, i-convert siya into acetyl-CoA. So, yung enzyme na nagka-catalyze niyan is called the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, or may ibang references, they use the acronym PDH. Now, this is one of your multi-enzyme complex. So, di ba, nung nag-aral kayo ng proteins, when you say protein complex, marami siyang subunits. And each subunit is an independent polypeptide chain. So, maraming polypeptide chains itong pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So, in metabolism, we will encounter a few multi-enzyme complexes. Okay, so dito sa carbohydrate metabolism, ito yung pinakasikat, si pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So, in general, kapag meron ka multi-enzyme complex, yung advantages niya kasi is, number one, yung tinatawag nating diffusion ng mga molecules mo between active sites is minimized. Okay, so ibig sabihin, dahil multi-enzyme complex na siya, doon sa isang active site, papasok yung substrate mo, perform niya yung product. Yung product na yon, hindi niya kailangan bumalik sa cytosol, for example. Hindi siya i-eject from the active site and then magsuswimming ulit siya sa cytosol. Tapos sa kanya hahanapin yung next enzyme. Rather, pag nabuo na yung product na yon, lilipat lang siya ng ibang active site. So yun yung sinasabi nating nami-minimize yung diffusion ng substrates. And then, dahil pinagpapasapasahan lang yung mga compounds dun sa buong series ng reactions mo, there is a less chance for side reactions. Kasi syempre, kung nag-diffuse siya sa cytosol, for example, tapos may ibang enzyme pa na substrate din siya, pwedeng magkaroon ng ibang reaction dun sa molecule na yon. And of course, multi-enzyme complex can be coordinately controlled. So instead na, for example, mag-regulate ka ng tatlong magkakahiwalay na enzymes, ang i-regulate mo lang ay isang buong multi-enzyme complex. Now, medyo komplikado yung conversion ng pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. Hence, yung structure din ng ating PDH ay complicated. So, meron siyang tatlong klase ng polypeptide chains. Or, tatlong klase ng polypeptide chains. Hence, tatlong catalysis. Tatlong reactions, tatlong active sites. So we have E1, which is the pyruvate dehydrogenase. Then meron tayong E2, trans-acetylase. And we have E3, which is the dehydrogenase. Now, there are multiple copies of each of these subunits. Okay? So, we will not deal with the details of the structure of your pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. You might be interested, so pwede nyo siyang basahin sa VOET. So itong discussion na to on the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex ay galing sa VOET na textbook. Okay? So yung parang model ng pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, ito yung kanyang itsura. So para siyang merong inner core and then meron siyang outer shell. Okay? May catalysis na nangyayari dun sa inner core at meron ding catalysis na nangyayari sa outer core. In any case, ang end product is acetyl-CoA from pyruvate. Okay. So, ito yung overall reaction ng PDH natin. So, kailangan ng pyruvate, kailangan ng coenzyme A, and kailangan ng NAD+. So, ang products niya, acetyl-CoA, carbon dioxide, and then yung reduced form ng NAD+, which is NADH. So, again, yung components ng ating PDH, meron tayong E1, 24 copies ng E1, E2, 24 copies din, E3, 12 copies. So that is for an E. coli cell. Now, each subunit, meron niyang prosthetic group. So TPP or thiamine pyrophosphate, which nakita na natin sa alcohol fermentation, right? Ito yung cofactor or prosthetic group ng isang enzyme na involved sa ethanol fermentation. Galing siya sa vitamin B1 or thiamine. Then, ang E2 subunit, meron siyang lipoamide. And then, ang E3, meron siyang FAD. Now, itong FAD na to, prosthetic group siya. So, ibig sabihin, nakastuck lang siya doon sa enzyme mo. Hindi siya tulad nitong electron carrier na NAD+, for example, na involved sa reaction. Okay? Kasi ito, free siya. Hindi siya nakadikit sa isang enzyme. Pag sinabing prosthetic group, doon lang siya sa enzyme. Okay? So, each of these subunits, meron silang specific function. So, ano yung kinakatalyze nila? Sa E1, oxidative decarboxylation of pyruvate. So, kung mapapansin nyo, isa sa mga products natin is carbon dioxide. Pag sinabing decarboxylation, meron kang isang carbon or more na natatanggal from the molecule, the substrate molecule, as carbon dioxide. And then, ang E2 subunit naman natin, transfer of acetyl group to CoA. So, ito na yung ikakabit mo yung acetyl doon sa sulfur ng iyong coenzyme A. And then, yung E3 naman natin, wala na siyang involvement dito sa reaction na to. Rather, ang kanyang function is regeneration ng prosthetic group ng E2. So, bakit may regeneration na nangyayari? Makikita natin yon as we go through the details of the actions of your pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Okay. Now, aside from those prosthetic groups na na-mention na natin, meron din tayong other substrates, okay? Remember, coenzyme A is a substrate for your E2 subunit, and then meron tayong NAD+, which is a substrate for the E3. Okay, so again, there are 3 stages in the conversion of your pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. So starting from pyruvate, the first thing that happens is the removal of one carbon as carbon dioxide or decarboxylation. So ito yung kinakatalyze ng E1. Then, meron kang carbon ion na mapoproduce dyan. So this is just an intermediate. That one gets oxidized. So matatanggalan siya ng dalawang electrons. And then, you get your acetyl group which can now be attached to your coenzyme A. Hence, you produce your acetyl-CoA. So, paano to nangyayari? So, remember again, may E1, E2, and E3. So, nangyayari is, dito sa E1, first is, you have your decarboxylation. So, yung TPP natin dito, okay, tatanggalan niya ng isang carbon, yung pyruvate. So, madi-decarboxylate siya. Again, it's oxidative decarboxylation. Tapos, ang matitira na lang ay dalawang carbons ng pyruvate. Now, remember that this one gets oxidized, di ba? So, initially, magiging negatively charged yung carbon na yan, pero dapat maging positively charged siya para ma-attach siya sa coenzyme A. So, mangyari is babawasan mo siya ng dalawang electrons. So, that is made possible in E2. So, sa E2, meron tayong tinatawag na lipoamide, di ba? So, yung lipoamide, if you recall your disulfide bridge, yung mga cysteine molecules natin na nagpo-form ng disulfide bridge, kamukha niya yung structure ng ating lipoamide. So, may part ng lipoamide natin na kamukha ng disulfide bridge ng dalawang cysteine amino acids. So, ito yon. Okay? So, this one is an oxidized lipoamide. So, ang mangyayari is, yung ating negatively charged na acetyl, kakabit siya dun sa isang sulfur dito sa lipoamide. So, if you notice, from this sort of disulfide bridge, magsiseparate sila. Yung isang sulfur, nakakabit na sa kanya yung acetyl, and then yung second sulfur, na-reduce na siya, nakabitan na siya ng hydrogen. Okay? So, anong nangyari? Na-oxidize yung acetyl, na-reduce yung lipoamide. And then, same subunit sa E2 pa din, itong acetyl group ipapasa na niya sa coenzyme A. So you have here CoAsh, which is again another shorthand for coenzyme A. Papasa na dyan yung acetyl. Tapos ang ending, yung ating lipoamide, both sulfurs are reduced. So pareho na silang SH. Now, syempre, enzyme yan, di ba? Yung buong complex na yan. Dapat nire-regenerate mo yung mga prosthetic groups kasi pag hindi mo yan nire-regenerate, hindi na ulit siya makakapag-catalyze. Wala nang next cycle ng catalysis. Yun yung function ng E3. So sa E3, meron tayong FADH2. Okay, so FADH2. Yung FADH2 na yan, magpapasa siya ng electrons sa NAD+. So mangyayari is, sorry. Mali yung sequence ko. Okay? Merong FAD sa E3, subunit. So remember, this is reduced. Okay? Gusto natin siyang i-oxidize back into this disulfide bridge-looking structure. Oxidation dapat ang mangyari sa kanya. So, kailangan mag-give off ng dalawang electrons nitong reduced lipoamide. Ibibigay niya yung dalawang electrons na yon sa FAD. So, look at the direction of the arrows. From reduced lipoamide papunta sa oxidized, kanino niya ibibigay yung dalawang electrons sa FAD? So, ang FAD magiging FADH2 na. And then, if you recall, meron tayong substrate na NAD+ para dun sa ating PDH. Bakit may NAD+ ka? So, itong NAD+, siya yung final electron acceptor ng reaction na to. So, yung dalawang electrons na kinuha ng FAD, di ba, FADH2 na siya, ipapasa niya yon sa NAD+. So, yung NAD+, magiging NADH, mariregenerate mo yung FAD. So, everything has been reset. So, dahil na-reset na siya, pwede na ulit mag-catalyze yung ating PDH. Now, ma-confuse siguro kayo, ano tong hydroxyethyl TPP? So, yung hydroxyethyl TPP na yan, Yan yung ating acetyl. Pero naging alcohol mo na siya nung nag-bind siya or nag-covalent bond siya dun sa thiamine pyrophosphate ng E1 subunit. Okay? Ito pa rin yung dalawang carbons nung pyruvate natin. Okay? So matatanggalan siya ng isang carbon as carbon dioxide. Anong mangyayari dyan sa dalawang carbons na yan? Parang transiently, naka-covalently bound sila dun sa TPP ng E1. But eventually, yan ay ma-oxidize, ma-oxidize back to acetyl kapag nagpunta na sa E2 yung ating reaction. So yun yung nangyayari sa ating pyruvate dehydrogenase. Now, in connection with arsenic poisoning, so yung toxicity ng arsenic compounds, ang tina-target nila ay yung ating pyruvate dehydrogenase complex or yung PDH. Kasi yung structure ng arsenic compounds natin, okay, so this is arsenite, for example, one of your arsenic compounds. If you recall, merong state, yung PDH na kung saan yung lipoic or yung lipoamide mo ay reduced. So instead of the disulfide bridge-looking structure, parehong may hydrogens yung sulfur. So this one can easily react with arsenite. So magfo-form siya ng ganitong klaseng compound. Remember, this is in the PDH. Okay? This one is irreversible. So hindi mo na yan mababalik into the normal structure of lipoamide. So permanent na siya dyan, which means di na magfa-function yung enzyme mo. So bakit siya toxic? Kasi yung conversion ng pyruvate to acetyl-CoA is important for the cell. Otherwise, wala kang mafi-feed sa Krebs cycle kasi hindi mo ma-convert yung pyruvate sa acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA yung pumapasok sa Krebs cycle. So other organic arsenic groups can also react with the reduced lipoamide. So doon, ito yung nag-explain ng toxicity ng arsenic compounds. Okay? So now, nakita na natin yung conversion ng pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. So let's look at the citric acid cycle. So ang citric acid cycle natin again has 8 steps and it is a cycle. So ibig sabihin, yung last step ng pathway na to, mariregenerate niya yung substrate. Okay? So, of course, cyclic siya, 8 steps, so there are 8 enzymes here. So, tingnan lang muna natin yung nangyayari sa molecule natin. Okay? So, sa first reaction, this is the condensation of an oxaloacetate and your acetyl-CoA. So, oxaloacetate plus acetyl-CoA. So notice, minamark niya yung dalawang carbons na nasa acetyl-CoA. So ito yung kinonvert natin from pyruvate. So after the first step, you generate citrate. So doon sa citrate, nakamark yung dalawang carbons nung acetyl-CoA, yung galing sa acetyl-CoA. Next is, the second step is divided into 2 steps. So ito, meron tayong intermediate dito. But essentially, it involves the conversion of citrate to isocitrate. So nangyayari is 2-step reaction siya with the dehydration. So you form cis-aconitate first. And then, water goes back. So rehydration para maging isocitrate siya. So it's essentially isomerism. Same enzyme lang yan. Okay? So bini-breakdown lang yung isang reaction into 2 steps. So, citrate to isocitrate. Okay? Then, yung isocitrate natin, matatanggalan siya ng isang carbon. But notice that yung natanggal na carbon sa kanya as carbon dioxide, hindi siya yung carbons na galing sa acetyl-CoA. Okay? Nakamark yung carbons natin na galing sa acetyl-CoA. So, hindi siya yung natanggal. Okay? So, this is the carbon that is given off as carbon dioxide. So this is oxidative decarboxylation. And meron siyang, so yung step 3 natin, aside from release of carbon dioxide, nagpo-produce din siya ng isang NADH. So notice na meron kang isang arrow dyan pointing to NADH, so that means may isang NADH na nafo-form. Then, ano yung next na metabolite natin? So step 3, from isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. Okay? So that's the third step. Next, fourth step. Ano nangyari sa fourth step? Notice that in the fourth step, meron ka ulit isang carbon na matatanggal as carbon dioxide. And kakabitan mo ng coenzyme A, yung iyong substrate na alpha ketoglutarate. So, this is again oxidative decarboxylation. Ang ending, you form succinyl-CoA. So, meron ka ng coenzyme A dyan. And then, one carbon less. So, natanggalan na naman ng isang carbon. Anong carbon yung natanggal? Ito, yung carboxylate, COO-. Natanggal siya as carbon dioxide and then nakabitan ng acetyl-CoA, yung molecule. So, we get succinyl-CoA. So, this step also produces NADH. So, may NADH ulit. So, dalawang NADH na yon. Next, step 5. What happens to succinyl-CoA? So, ang succinyl-CoA, dahil meron na siyang coenzyme A, if you recall, yung ating bond between the acetyl, kanina sa acetyl-CoA, di ba nasabi ko, yung bond ng carbon and sulfur doon ay unstable. So, kailangan niya yun putulin and pwede yun mag-release ng energy. Now, in step 5, that bond is broken, yung sulfur-carbon bond na yon, although hindi to acetyl, di ba? Succinyl siya. Pero itong sulfur-carbon bond na yan, mabibreak, okay? So lalabas ulit ang coenzyme A, and at the same time, meron kang mapuproduce na isang energy equivalent. Now, the energy equivalent produced is GTP. Pero, ang GTP is considered an energy equivalent of ATP. So this is counted. So kung isang GTP yung na-produce ng step 5, counted yan as 1 ATP produced. Okay? So far, naka 5 steps na tayo. Dalawang carbon dioxide na yung natanggal, right? Through steps 3 and 4. Tapos meron tayong dalawang NADH na na-produce. Steps 3 and 4 din yon. Tapos ngayon sa step 5, meron tayong isang equivalent ng ATP na na-generate. Now, what happens next? So, natanggalan na siya ng coenzyme A. Succinate na lang siya. Okay? So, this succinate is dehydrogenated. So, magkakaroon ka ng double bond dyan. Right? So, that double bond is generated through a redox reaction. Bakit siya redox reaction? May electrons na involved kasi nag-generate siya ng FADH2. Okay? So, aside from 2 NADH, meron na rin tayo ngayong FADH2. Now, baka tanungin nyo, bakit natin binibilang tong electron carriers na to? Kasi, tatandaan, itong electron carriers na to, magpapasa sila ng electrons sa electron transport chain. Okay? And then yung ETC coupled sa ATP synthesis. So, yung mga NADH, FADH2 na yan, meron din tayong makukuhang ATP units mula dyan sa mga yan. Okay? So, that is step 6, from succinate to fumarate. Now, the rest of the steps here, ang purpose na lang yan is ma-regenerate yung oxaloacetate. Okay? Now, notice again, hindi na siya nakamark dito, pero yung carbons natin na galing sa acetyl nandyan pa rin sa mga metabolites na dumadaan sa ating Krebs cycle. Okay? So, fumarate, magiging malate. So, this is a hydration reaction. So, from a saturated bond, so single bond yan, naging double bond, and then magkakaroon ka ng alcohol. Okay? So, hinhydrate mo yung double bond. Nag-add ka ng water. So, you get malate, hindi malate. So, that is malate. And then, the last step of your Krebs cycle is the oxidation of malate. So, meron ka ulit ma-generate na NADH dito sa last step ng Krebs cycle. So, nandyan pa rin yung dalawang carbons ng acetyl, right? Then, oxidize to oxaloacetate. So ito na yung dalawang carbons na na-generate or pumasok sa Krebs cycle na galing sa acetyl-CoA. Yun siya. So ba't natin ini-emphasize yan? Yung tinatrack kasi natin yung carbons na galing sa acetyl. So gusto ko lang i-emphasize na yung dalawang carbons na pinapasok mo as acetyl-CoA sa Krebs cycle, hindi sila agad marirelease as carbon dioxide. Latter cycles pa sila marirelease as carbon dioxide. Nevertheless, one cycle here generates energy equivalents in terms of your NADH, FADH2, and ATP. So yan yung nangyayari sa Krebs cycle. So overall, ang ating reaction, isang acetyl-CoA yung pumasok, then ano yung mga na-produce ng isang cycle nitong Krebs? So we have 2 carbon dioxide, 3 NADH, 1 FADH2, and 1 ATP. Again, the ATP here is not exactly the one generated. Ang nag-generate is GTP, but GTP is also energetically equivalent to ATP. So some references would write it as ATP. But remember, ang actual na nag-generate ay GTP. Now, bakit hindi naka-reflect sa reaction yung ating oxaloacetate? Kasi ang oxaloacetate, reactant siya sa first step, but eventually product din siya ng last step. So kung sinulat mo dyan si oxaloacetate sa reactant side and oxaloacetate sa product side, magka-cancel out lang siya. Kaya hindi reflected ang oxaloacetate. Okay? If we look at the delta G values of the reactions of your Krebs cycle, this one is delta G at standard state. Notice na ang pinaka-negative is the first step, which is the conversion of or combination of acetyl-CoA and oxaloacetate to form citrate. Which means, ang committed step ng ating Krebs cycle is the first step. Hindi mo pwedeng gawing committed step ang step 4. Kasi gitna na siya ng pathway mo. So, that's a large investment na. Okay? Kung gusto mong i-commit yung molecule mo sa fourth step, hindi na. So, step 1, yung ating committed step. Okay? Now, let's go to the ATP generated. So, this one is starting from glycolysis. Kasi ngayon, ang objective natin is to look at the total amount of ATP that you can get from one glucose molecule. So remember, ang glucose mo, ang first pathway na dadaanan niya is glycolysis. Tapos, meron tayong na-discuss na fermentation, pero very specific contexts lang nangyayari yung fermentation. So we will look at the connection of glycolysis and the Krebs cycle. Okay? So, nakalagay dyan 30 to 32 ATP, but we are going to derive kung saan nanggaling yung number na yan. Okay? So, the question is, how many moles of ATP can be obtained from the complete oxidation of 1 mole of glucose? Pag sinabing oxidation, bawat carbon doon sa molecule mo, nire-release mo siya as carbon dioxide. That's complete oxidation. So, we're going to start with glycolysis. So, let's start with glycolysis. So, ang glycolysis natin, di ba, meron kang net na 2 ATP produced, and then meron ka ring dalawang NADH from ATP. Then, ang final product ng ATP, ng glycolysis is pyruvate. Now, yung pyruvate, kino-convert siya to acetyl-CoA. Now, sa conversion ng pyruvate to acetyl-CoA, meron kang isang NADH na nag-generate, right? And then, yung acetyl-CoA, papasok na siya sa Krebs cycle, right? So, acetyl-CoA into Krebs cycle. So, ano-ano yung mga energy equivalents na napuproduce natin sa Krebs cycle? So, if you recall, merong tatlong NADH, isang FADH2, and then meron tayong isang equivalent ng ATP in the form of GTP. Okay. Now, recall that ang mga electron carriers natin na to, pupunta sila sa electron transport chain. Lahat sila pupunta sa electron transport chain. And if you recall, nung nag-aral tayo ng electron transport chain, na-relate natin kung gaano kadaming ATP ang pwede mong makuha from one NADH passing electrons to your ETC or one FADH2 passing electrons to your ETC. So, ano ulit yung ratio na yon? Ano yung stoichiometry nila? So, ang stoichiometry is for one NADH, that's 2.5 ATP. So, one NADH is 2.5 ATP. Tapos, meron tayo naman 1 FADH2 is to 1.5 ATP. So, yan yung naaral natin before. So, now, itong mga NADH na na-generate sa glycolysis down sa Krebs cycle, including FADH2, i-convert lang natin sila doon sa stoichiometric equivalent nila na ATP. So, ano yung sinasabi ko dito? So, ibig sabihin, ilan lahat ng NADH? That's 2 plus 1 plus 3. So, that is 6 NADH. Wait, may nakalimutan ako. Anong nakalimutan ko? Remember, sa isang glucose na pumapasok sa glycolysis, so that is 1 glucose, na papasok sa glycolysis, magge-generate yan ng dalawang pyruvate. Dalawang pyruvate, which means dalawang acetyl-CoA din yung makukuha natin. Ibig sabihin, dalawang acetyl-CoA ang papasok sa Krebs cycle. Which means, hindi lang 3 NADH yan, pero ita times 2 pa natin ang numbers na yan. So, that is 6 NADH, 2 FADH2, and 2 equivalents of ATP in the form of GPP. So, ngayon, pwede na nating i-count yung total NADH. So, we have 2 NADH from glycolysis. For this step, pyruvate to acetyl-CoA, dalawa din yan. So, that's already 4. So, 2 plus 2, that's 4. Plus 6 sa Krebs cycle, so 10. So, meron tayong 10 na NADH, tapos i-multiply natin yan sa 2.5. So, bakit natin i-multiply sa 2.5? Kasi, in terms of your stoichiometry, yung ratio natin, 1 NADH is to 2.5 ATP. So that means meron kang 25 na ATP from 10 NADH generated mula glycolysis hanggang Krebs cycle. Now, what about FADH2? Overall, meron tayong dalawang FADH2 from the Krebs cycle. So, 2 FADH2. So, we're using the convention of chemistry. So, we're not simply multiplying. We are using the ratio. So, 1 FADH2 is to 1.5 ATP. So, pag minultiply natin yan, we get 3. So, that is 3 ATP. Then, to total na natin, so meron tayong 2 ATP from glycolysis and 2 ATP sa Krebs in the form of GTP. So, that's 4. So, mag-add tayo ng 4 ATP. So, ito yung i-add natin. Okay? So that's 25 plus 3, that's 28 plus 4, 32 ATP. Okay? Now, tama yan, 32 ATP. However, this number depends kung saang type ng cell nangyayari yung glycolysis pathway down to Krebs cycle. Okay? Kapag skeletal muscle or brain ang pinag-uusapan, the total number of ATP that you can get from one glucose molecule is actually less. Brain cells and skeletal muscle cells. Ano ba yung iba sa organs na to compared sa the rest ng organs ng katawan? So if you recall, we discussed the transport of NADH to your mitochondrion. Now, ang glycolysis natin, nangyayari yan sa cytosol. Okay? And then the rest of these reactions nangyayari sa mitochondrion. Ibig sabihin, yung NADH, yung dalawang NADH na to, na nag-generate sa glycolysis, manggagaling pa sa cytosol. And remember, yung ating brain cells and skeletal muscle cells, iba yung transport mechanism nila for NADH compared to other types ng cells sa ibang organs. Okay? So yung distinction natin or yung difference nilang dalawa is for other organs, we have the malate aspartate shuttle that transports NADH from the cytosol to the mitochondrion. Not exactly transport, okay? Nag-oxidize, nagre-redox reaction siya ng mga compounds na pwede niya i-transport across the mitochondrion and then i-reconvert lang niya sa side ng mitochondrion. Okay, so ito yung sabi kong iniiba lang niya yung levels ng NADH and NAD+ sa cytosol at sa mitochondrion. Pero hindi niya exactly binubuhat yung isang NADH papasok ng mitochondrion. That's your malate aspartate shuttle. Tapos, meron din tayong glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle or the G3P shuttle, which is yung mechanism ng brain cells and skeletal muscle cells. So ito yung meron silang glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase sa mitochondrion. So yung NADH na galing sa cytosol, ipapasa niya dyan sa glycerol 3-phosphate na enzyme. Yung glycerol 3-phosphate na enzyme, ang kanyang electron acceptor ay PAD. So, kapag nakarating na yung electrons na supposedly galing sa NADH, nakarating na sa mitochondrion, sa FAD siya eventually ipapasa. And pag pinasa na niya, FADH2 na yon. And you know that FADH2 passes electrons straight to complex 3. 'Di ba? Complex 3 siya. Well, through ubiquinone. Okay? May electron carrier ka pa na ubiquinone. Pero, ang ano natin doon is, ang consequence noon is hindi niya nadadaanan yung complex 1 na nagpa-pump ng 4 protons. Kaya kapag FADH2, yung naging electron carrier mo, 6 protons na lang siya. Okay? So, iba yung pag-count natin ng total ATP kung glycerol 3-phosphate shuttle yung ginagamit, which is again sa brain cells and sa skeletal muscle cells. So, in that case, pag ganun yung case, paano natin siya i-count? So, i-count natin siya na 8. So, ibig sabihin, 8 na lang yung NADH na i-count natin as true NADH. Tama? At ito yung mga NADH na na-generate sa loob na ng mitochondrion. Hindi naman sila tinransport sa G3P shuttle eh. Nasa loob na sila ng mitochondrion. So ito yung na-generate sa conversion ng pyruvate to acetyl-CoA and sa Krebs cycle. 8 na lang yan. Okay? So 8 times 2.5 ATP per 1 NADH. So, ibig sabihin, yan ay 22. Mali. 16. 20. Okay, so that's 20 ATP from 8 NADH. Tapos, yung FADH2 natin dito, aside from the FADH2 na galing sa Krebs, meron tayong idadagdag na dalawa. Na itong dalawa na to, hindi sila actual FADH2 generated. Consequence lang yon ng paggamit ng G3P shuttle ng dalawang NADH na galing sa cytosol. So, meron tayong 4 FADH2. Okay? So, yung 4 FADH2 na yan, i-multiply natin sa 1.5 ATP per 1 FADH2. So that is, sorry, mouse lang ang gamit ko sa pag-annotate. So that is equal to 6 ATP. Okay? And then, of course, wag natin kakalimutan yung 4 na ATP na i-add natin dyan. So now, we can see the difference. Okay? So overall, ang nakukuha lang natin is 30 ATP kung G3P shuttle yung ginagamit ng cell sa pag-transport ng NADH from the cytosol to the mitochondrion versus maliit aspartate shuttle na 32 ATP. Kaya yung nakikita natin sa textbooks, range siya 30 to 32 ATP. Or rather, it's like 30 ATP or 32 ATP. So, bakit may ganong difference between your brain cells and your skeletal muscle cells and other organs? Kasi, other organs, they just need a steady amount of energy. And hindi sila yung kailangan ng sudden bursts of energy, like your liver, your heart, hindi naman ganon yung energy demand nila, right? So, they prefer the efficient pathway. So, ano yung efficient pathway? Having the electrons carried by NADH. Kasi efficient siya dahil kumpleto yung dadaanan ng electrons mo sa electron transport chain. So you get more out of the same source, which is glucose. Versus ang brain cells or ang skeletal muscle cells natin, itong dalawa yung biglang nagkakaroon ng surge sa energy demand, especially halimbawa kung nagpa-fight or flight response yung person. Okay, so biglang demand ng energy yung brain cells kasi kailangan niya mag-isip, and then high demand of energy sa skeletal muscles kasi kailangan niyang gumalaw, for example. So, for that case, prefer ng cells yung less efficient way pero faster. Bakit siya faster? Kasi nga, hindi mo na kailangan daanan yung complex 1 ng electron transport chain. So, because of that, you get less ATP, although 2 ATP lang naman yung difference. Pero malaking malaking impact na siya para doon sa brain cells and sa skeletal muscle cells natin. So nakikita natin dito yung reflection nung mechanism, okay, how these pathways operate depending on the purpose or the function of your cells or your organs, okay? Kaya may difference yung total ATP na na-generate from one glucose molecule. Okay, so why do we have a complicated citric acid cycle? Because again, like kung ano yung na-mention ko nung nag-introduce na tayo ng metabolic pathways, especially dun sa buong map ng human metabolic pathways, your citric acid cycle is a central hub. So nakakonect dyan yung pathways ng lahat ng biomolecules. Your carbohydrates in the form of glucose, your lipids in the form of fatty acids, and your amino acids. So lahat sila ay magtatagpo-tagpo sa citric acid cycle. And furthermore, yung citric acid cycle din natin ay pwedeng mag-provide ng biosynthetic precursors. So yung mga substrates para naman sa anabolic reactions. And itong precursors na to, wide range din yung nila, yung pwede nilang puntahan. So amino acids, nucleotides, etc. Okay? Now, when it comes to regulation, na-mention natin na yung first step, okay, is sort of a committed step because of the highly negative delta G value. Pero sa buong citric acid cycle natin, we have several enzymes that are regulated as well. In fact, pati yung pyruvate dehydrogenase complex natin. So, ang dami niyang allosteric regulators dito for your pyruvate dehydrogenase. Si citrate synthase, yung enzyme for step 1, also has several allosteric regulators. And then, second step and third step. So, dyan tayo merong allosteric regulators. So, meron siyang mga inhibitors and meron din siyang mga activators. So, the inhibitors typically are molecules that point to the fact that the cell has a high amount of energy. So, halimbawa, ATP. Kung maraming ATP, yung ATP na yan, pwede niyang i-inhibit yung pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Which makes sense kasi bakit ka magkakatabolize kung mataas naman yung level ng energy ng cell. Same din for acetyl-CoA. Kung marami kang acetyl-CoA, ba't kailangan mong pumunta sa pathway na to? Okay? On the other hand, yung allosteric activators naman natin, they reflect the low energy state of your cell. So, halimbawa, AMP. So, na-mention ko yung AMP. Pag dumami yung AMP, ibig sabihin, mababa yung energy state ng cell. Pag puro coenzyme A, ibig sabihin, wala ka masyadong napoproduce na acetyl-CoA. So, hindi mo nakoconsume yung coenzyme A. Same with your NAD+ and your NADH. So, these are these allosteric regulators typically reflect the energy state of the cell, whether it is high or low.